Hello, my name is Jen and welcome to the Book Refuge. Today I'm doing a very exciting book tag for you, 90s Disney book tag. I'm a big fan of Disney. I don't know too many people who aren't a fan of at least a few of their movies, maybe you've heard of them, but 90s Disney was totally my thing, as I think any young person ages like 20 to 30, like 90s Disney was your thing too. It's okay if you don't want to admit it, but why not? It's great. And I thought, hey, let's do a fun tag about it. Some of the questions were really hard because I wanted to like double use them. So I challenged myself to try other things. So let's get started because there's a lot of these to get through and you know how your girl likes to over talk. So here we go. The first one is Rescuers Down Under, your favorite sequel or duology. So for me, I picked sequel and I picked Akamath, A Court of Mist and Fury by Sarah J. Maas. This is one of my favorite second books in a series. For me, I usually find that second books, they're either fantastic or they're really bad. Another one that was an honorable mention for me, I almost picked this one, is I almost picked Catching Fire. But for this one, like the characters just went through so many changes, and most of them were very emotional. You found out a lot more information about different characters, more backstory, and I just think some of the things that happen in here are some of my favorite stories I've read. Yeah, I thought it was fantastic, and some of these characters get a bad rap now, but I mean, I also know so many people who love Akamath, and I just had to put it in here because it's one of my favorite second books in a series. Number 2 is Beauty and the Beast, a book that you bought for the cover. This was hard because I buy lots of books for the cover. I think I've shared this before. Last month I bought Onyx and Ivory for the cover, and I'm so glad because you can see my book review for that one. I adored it. But another book I bought for the cover and I recently just finished, I'm trying to read the whole trilogy this month, if you've seen my TBR, is These Broken Stars. I just think these book covers are so beautiful, and all three of them are. I just held up this one, but they have these beautiful dresses and the night sky, and it's so beautiful. So I definitely bought this first one for the series. I really liked it. I'm gonna try to do a book talk for like the whole series because I just can't film a book review for all the books I read. It's too much. But yeah, this one is a beauty, and I bought it because it was. So number 3 was Aladdin. Pick 3 books to be your wishes. This was really hard. I didn't quite know what to do. Like, what does that mean? But so I went with picking like 3 of my favorites. So for me, that was Outlander by Diana Gabaldon. I just can come back to these again and again. This whole series is so rich, and I'm so happy I read them. I can't wait to dive back in. I need to have some time to do it, but I want to read these all again. I've read the first book like 4 times, but it's a bit of a commitment to read through all the other ones. I try to reread them as the new season comes out, which season 4 comes out in November. So I picked that one for a wish. I picked Harry Potter. This is the one that I held up because my friend's actually borrowing one of my other ones right now. But yes, Harry Potter is a book wish. I have to have that. And then I picked Graceling by Kristen Cashore. I read this book quite a few years ago. I'm planning to do a retro review for this one because I just hadn't read anything quite like it. Like, it has aspects of other stories, and I get that. And it is weird because the main characters' names are Katza and Poe, and one of the characters is a really good archer, so it's kind of funny. But I mean, they were written independently, and there's no crossover in that way. The stories are completely different, but I really love this story. So that's what I picked as 3 of my favorites. These are on my favorite list and didn't fall into another category, so that's mostly why I put them in this one. Number 4 is The Lion King, a book that is a retelling. So I wanted to go a different way than everyone else went because I love tons of the retellings. They're some of my favorite books to read is fairy tale retellings, but I went a different way. And if you've watched any of my like first videos on this channel, which I'm not necessarily recommending you do, this was only like the 3rd video I did and it was kind of embarrassing, but I picked Caroline, which is Little House Revisited, and it's a retelling of Little House on the Prairie from Ma Ingalls' point of view. I know I bring this book out whenever I can, but it doesn't, it doesn't like get talked about because it's not really like YA. It's just a normal historical fiction, but it was such a beautiful story if you love Little House. And so I'm going to keep toting this book. I'll keep toting it as much as I can. You should definitely check it out. It is beautiful and I loved it. So Caroline is what I picked for a retelling. Number 5 is A Goofy Movie, a book that made you laugh. This was kind of hard. I read a lot of dark stories because I like sci-fi young adult and they're usually pretty sad. But I picked this book. I picked Scarlet by Marissa Meyer, and I'll tell you why, and maybe you know already. Besides this book introducing us to Scarlet and Wolf, it also introduces Captain Thorn. Yes, it does. It introduced Captain Carswell Thorne, and I just think he is so funny. The chapters in here from his point of view are some of my favorite things, and he continues it throughout the series, but this is when he's introduced, and Scarlet and Wolf love him, but they're not exactly funny. They're a very intense romantic relationship that I totally appreciate, but this was what makes me laugh, and so I picked this for Captain Thorne. Him and the Rampion crew are some of my, it's one of my favorite series. Oh, it's so good. So yeah, I picked this for Captain Thorne because he makes me laugh. Okay, so next, this one was Pocahontas, a book about historical figures or events. So yeah, I mean, normally I would pick Outlander for this, but again, I wanted to pick something a little different. And so I went with Poldark by Winston Graham. I love this series. I'm on book 9 out of 12, I think. I really take my time. I listen to them on audio because the reader, his name is... I can't remember his name. I'll put it on the screen. Oh, Oliver Hemsborough? Yeah, that's his name. He reads these books so good. I love them, and I love the TV show. I also want to do a retro review for these books because the first one was written in the 40s, but this is historical. It is about 18th century Cornwall and about the things that were happening there in the coal mines and tin mines and copper mines. And Ross, he had been fighting on the British side of the American Revolution, comes home afterwards to find his father dead, and the love of his life is getting married to his cousin. So, just a normal homecoming. So he has to try to pick up the scraps of his life and make a go of it. And he finds a new love interest who is one of my favorite characters, mostly because of the TV show, but of course, she's totally great in the books, but the actress who plays her on the show, I love her. So this is what I picked for my historical. It's a slow burn kind of book, but there's a lot of historical events of what was happening and with the French Revolution and how Britain was involved in it, and a little bit of politics. So, I mean, not a YA read by any means, if that's what you're into, but it is the characters are so amazing, and you get to live, there's 12 books, and they take place over 40 years, so you really just get to live life with them through ups and downs, births, deaths, weddings, all those things. So it's awesome. Number 7 is the Hunchback of Notre Dame, and it's a character that has been in the dark for too long. And for this, there was many of these categories that I could have put this character into, but I really wanted to do it for this. And I picked Darrow from Red Rising because he literally had to live under the earth in Mars, and he's a miner, and they're told that they can't go to the surface because people will die up there, so he literally lives underground until one day he finds out it was all a lie, and these awful people kill his wife, and then he decides he's going to get revenge because he's tired of the way things work. So I love this character. If you don't know about Red Rising, you need to get into it. This is an adult science fiction, but I mean, the character is pretty young. There's a lot of violence in them, so that's why it's adult, but I mean, you'll see on BookTube tons of people have read these, and I suggest them as well on there. So the next one is Hercules, a character who went from an underdog to a hero. And for that, I was actually surprised how much I ended up loving this character because I heard a lot of bad things about her. And I mean, it just goes to show, we all love different things, and that's what makes BookTube awesome and what makes books awesome. So the character that I picked Alina Sarkov from Shadow and Bone. She starts as this lowly soldier and quickly becomes the most powerful person in the country of Ravka, and I think she's so great. I love how Lee writes her characters, and I love how humble she is with her gifts, but how she grows to be sure of them. Like, she doesn't stay timid with them forever, and I really appreciate that about her. So yeah, I picked Alina, and I did not think that I would love Alina as much as I did, because she started out, I'm like, I don't know how to feel about you, but she quickly grew into my heart, and I hope someday we'll see peaks of her again. Maybe in King of Scars, maybe, even if he'll just mention her. I mean, they mention her in the Six of Crows duology, and there's someone like named after her, and I was like, or something named after her, and I was like, oh my gosh, Alina, I love you. So I hope she's mentioned. She'd have to be, because her and Nikolai, you know, well, things happened. So anyway, this one I was super excited about. I didn't know what to pick for because there's so many obvious ones, and then I was like, another one of Jen's favorites. She gets to put this one out. And so number 9 is Mulan, a character who sacrifices themselves for a family member. And I picked East. I did a whole long, again, this was my like 3rd or 4th video I made, a retro review for East. But the main character, Rose, has to offer herself to the Beast to save her sister, because the Beast can heal her sister from a disease that she has. So she trades herself to save him, and then goes on an adventure to his castle. And I won't say anymore, because if you want the full review, you can go and find it. But she's who I picked because she was spunky, and she was only 15 when it happened, and she really grows up in this book, and make some good choices and bad choices like we all do, and I love her, so I picked her. I didn't know where to go with this one. I thought that it's number 10 is Tarzan, a book that brings out your wild side, and I didn't really know what to pick, because did it make me crazy? Did it make me like really into, like, I didn't know where to go with it. So instead I went with a book that like made me sympathize with the villain the most, or who's called the villains in this book, and I went with that as my wild side instead of being on the side of good. And for that I picked Renegades by Marissa Meyer. I'm finally reading this book. I'm not done yet. This wasn't on my TBR, but I bought it as my audiobook for the month, and I'm loving it. Again, why do I wait so long to read these books sometimes? I get shy because I love her other book, like I love the Lunar Chronicles so much, but I didn't like Heartless, so I was so afraid that I wouldn't like this one. But you know, of course I bought it to put it with her beautiful, like it's her same like motif and everything, and I had to, because it's gorgeous, I had to get it. But I was so nervous, and now I'm like, why did I ever worry? Because I'm loving it, and it's so hard. Like this this book is in a world of superheroes and villains, and like it's the anarchists versus the renegades, and there's this girl who goes undercover as a renegade to try to bring them down, and she ends up having some conflicted feelings about it, and it switches point of view between the main girl and the main guy. And whenever I'm reading from either point of view, I completely feel for that side. So when I'm reading in the Renegade's point of view, I get what they're trying to do. They're trying to put civilization back together after this time of war that they had. But then when I'm in the anarchist point of view, I totally understand why she's angry at the Renegades and why she wants to take them down. So I don't know if this fits into that category, but that's how I felt, because for me, I really sympathize with the villains, and I hope that they can just work it out. The next one, Arch Enemies, comes out in November. I'm not even done with this, and I'm like, I'm gonna be done with it probably in the next couple days, because I only have a few hours left on my audiobook, and I'm just like, oh, what's gonna happen? Oh my gosh. But anyway, so that was my 90s Disney's book tag. I always, since I'm newer to BookTube, I always throw this out. Anyone who happens to see mine and you're in BookTube, please check it out. do it. I would be so honored. I'll tag Hannah down, or not tag her, I'll link Hannah down below, her video, and then I'll link the original creator, whom I don't know, but I'll link her down below as well, so you can see her original work. But yeah, I just want to do a fun Disney tag because Disney is my life. And yeah, so thanks for stopping by. As always, please subscribe if you haven't. Please leave a comment. I love to talk. If there's anything you want to talk about on here, let's chat. I am really active in my comments, and like, of course. So thanks for stopping by, and have a wonderful day.